Alone and 7 months pregnant, Amaya texts her fears to the wrong number and gets an unexpected reply from a stranger who understands too much. But can you trust a man who's hiding who he really is? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The rain pounded against the windows of Danielle Pierce's apartment as she stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. At 30 years old, she hardly recognized herself anymore. Her brown eyes, once bright with hope and excitement, now looked tired. 7 years of marriage had ended with nothing but a quiet goodbye and her husband's claim that she had changed. "You've grown," her therapist had corrected during their last session, and he simply stopped paying attention. Danielle ran a brush through her shoulder-length dark hair and applied a touch of lipstick. Taking herself out to dinner was today's challenge, another step toward rebuilding her life after the divorce. "You need to reclaim your space," Dr. Bennett had told her. "Do things alone that you used to do as a couple." Danielle grabbed her umbrella and headed out the door. The restaurant she chose was only a few blocks away, a small place with warm lighting and cozy tables. Not too crowded, not too empty. Perfect for a woman dining alone without feeling like a spectacle. "Table for one?" the hostess asked with a friendly smile. "Yes, just me tonight," Danielle replied, still finding the words strange on her tongue. She was seated at a small table near the window, where she could watch the rain create patterns on the glass. The restaurant had a comfortable atmosphere, soft music playing in the background, the gentle clink of silverware, and the low hum of conversation. "Would you like to hear our specials tonight?" the waitress asked as she handed Danielle a menu. "Yes, please," Danielle said, grateful for the distraction from her thoughts. After the waitress finished describing the day's offerings, Danielle ordered a glass of wine. She took a small sip when it arrived, letting the warmth of the alcohol calm her nerves. This was harder than she had expected. Sitting alone at a table meant for two, surrounded by couples and groups enjoying their evening. When the waitress returned to take her order, Danielle didn't think. The words came out automatically, the way they had for 7 years. "I'll have the grilled salmon with asparagus and he'll have the steak with roasted potatoes." The waitress paused, her pen hovering over her notepad. "Both meals are for you." Danielle blinked, suddenly aware of what she had done. Heat rushed to her face. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." She couldn't finish the sentence, embarrassment closing her throat. "No problem at all," the waitress said kindly, clearly sensing Danielle's discomfort. "I'll put both orders in." When the waitress left, Danielle took a large gulp of her wine. 7 years of ordering for two had become a habit she couldn't break. Now she would have to pay for 2 meals and face the humiliation of having an empty chair across from her and a plate of food no one would eat. 20 minutes later, the waitress returned with both meals, setting them carefully on the table. The salmon looked delicious, but Danielle couldn't even look at the steak without feeling a pang in her chest. It was David's favorite, medium rare with extra pepper. She had ordered it without thinking. "If it's not spoken for it, may I?" The voice was deep and gentle. Danielle looked up to see a man standing beside her table. He was tall with broad shoulders, dressed in a crisp white shirt and dark slacks. His face was kind, with laugh lines around his eyes and a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "I couldn't help but notice," he continued when she didn't respond. "I'm sitting alone too, and that steak looks amazing." Danielle stared at him, unsure how to respond. He wasn't what she would call traditionally handsome, but there was something about him, a quiet confidence, an understated elegance. "I'm Noah, by the way, Noah Strickland," he added, extending his hand. Danielle hesitated, then took it briefly. "Danielle Pierce. So, what do you say? May I join you? Or would you prefer I leave you in peace?" His smile was warm but respectful, making it clear he would accept her answer either way. Maybe it was the wine, maybe it was the kindness in his eyes, or maybe it was simply the fact that she was tired of being alone. "Please," she said, gesturing to the empty chair. "Join me." Noah sat down, placing his napkin in his lap with practiced ease. "Thank you. This is much better than eating alone at the bar." "You were eating alone?" Danielle asked, finding it hard to believe someone like him would be dining solo. "Occupational hazard," he replied with a small shrug. "I travel a lot." Danielle nodded, not pressing for details. She didn't want to talk about jobs or careers. That would lead to explanations about her failed marriage and how she was starting over at 30. "This salmon is delicious," she said instead, taking a bite. "And this steak is perfect," Noah replied, cutting into the meat. "Medium rare, just how I like it." Danielle smiled despite herself. "My husband, ex-husband, liked it that way too." There it was, the truth she hadn't planned to share with this stranger, but something about Noah made her feel at ease. "Ah," Noah said, his expression understanding rather than pitying. "Recent?" 3 months, Danielle admitted. "Still getting used to it," Noah nodded. "That explains ordering for 2. Habits are hard to break. Especially 7-year habits," Danielle said, surprised by her own openness. "We were together for almost a decade." "That's a long time," Noah said, his voice gentle. "My longest relationship was 2 years, ended about a year ago." "What happened?" Danielle asked, then shook her head. "I'm sorry. That's none of my business." "No, it's fine," Noah assured her. "We wanted different things. She wanted the spotlight. Parties, social events, being seen with the right people. I prefer quiet evenings and meaningful conversations. Like this one." The compliment made Danielle blush slightly. She took another sip of her wine. "My husband said I changed. My therapist says I grew." "And what do you say?" Noah asked, his eyes meeting hers with genuine interest. Danielle thought about it for a moment. I think I remembered who I was. The person I was before I tried to be. What he wanted." Noah nodded, understanding in his eyes. "That's not changing, that's returning." Something about his words touched Danielle deeply. She felt seen in a way she hadn't in years. They continued talking as they ate, discovering a shared love of old. Movies and hiking. Noah told her about growing up in a small town in Oregon, and she shared stories about her childhood in Chicago. They carefully avoided talking about their current jobs or lives, staying in the comfortable space of getting to know each other as people, rather than resumes. When the waitress brought the check, Noah reached for it. "Please," he said when Danielle protested. "You provided the meal, let me take care of the bill." "But I didn't mean to order it," Danielle pointed out. Noah smiled. "Sometimes the best things happen by accident." Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the streetlights. They stood awkwardly on the sidewalk, neither wanting to say goodbye but unsure how to extend the evening. "Thank you for sharing your table," Noah said finally, "and your company." "Thank you for saving me from an extra meal and an empty chair," Danielle replied with a small smile. Noah looked at her for a long moment, as if memorizing her face. Then, with gentle certainty in his voice, he said, "If you ever order for 2 again, I'd like to be the second." The words hung between them, full of possibility. Danielle felt her heart beat a little faster. "I'd like that," she said softly. Noah smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "How about Friday? Same place? Same time?" Danielle nodded. "I'll be here." As they parted ways, Danielle felt lighter than she had in months. The accidental dinner had turned into something unexpected. A connection, a possibility, a spark of hope in what had been a very dark time. Noah Strickland walked into his hotel suite and loosened his tie, his mind still on Danielle. He hadn't planned on approaching her. He'd been at the restaurant to evaluate it as a potential acquisition for his hospitality company. But when he saw her order 2 meals and the flash of embarrassment on her face, something had drawn him to her table. He sat down at the desk and opened his laptop, knowing he should review the notes he'd taken earlier. Strickland Hospitality Group was expanding rapidly, and this restaurant was just one of many he was considering adding to his portfolio. But instead of focusing on work, he found himself thinking about Danielle, her quiet strength, the gentle sadness in her eyes, the way she sat tall despite her obvious discomfort at being alone, and most of all the moment when she laughed at something he said, her entire face lighting up. Noah closed his laptop. The restaurant evaluation could wait until tomorrow. Tonight he wanted to hold on to the feeling of connection he'd found with a woman who ordered dinner for 2 out of habit. His phone rang, the screen showing his assistant's name. "Yes, Melissa?" he answered. Mr. Strickland, I'm confirming your flight back to New York tomorrow at 10 a.m. Noah hesitated. Actually, Melissa, I need to extend my stay through the weekend. Can you reschedule my meetings for Monday? Of course, sir. May I ask? Why? Should I arrange additional restaurant visits? No, Noah said, a smile forming on his lips. I have a dinner engagement on Friday that I don't want to miss. After ending the call, Noah walked to the window of his suite and looked out at the city lights. He hadn't felt this way in a long time, this mixture of excitement and nervousness. Danielle Pierce was different from the women he usually met through business or his social circle. She was real, unpretentious, and completely unaware of who he was, and that Noah realized was exactly what made her so refreshing. Danielle couldn't sleep that night. She kept replaying the dinner with Noah in her mind, analyzing every word, every smile, every look. It was just dinner, she told herself as she made tea in her small kitchen. Don't make it into something it's not. But it had felt like more than just dinner. It had felt like a beginning. Her phone rang, startling her. The screen showed her best friend Lisa's name. It's almost midnight, Danielle answered. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, Lisa replied, her voice excited. I just wanted to know how your solo dinner went. Did you do it? Did you survive eating alone? Danielle smiled. Actually, I didn't eat alone. What? Did you chicken out and call someone to join you? No, Danielle said, curling up on her couch with her tea. I accidentally ordered 2 meals out of habit, and a man at the next table offered to join me. Lisa gasped. Are you serious? Was he cute? What happened? Tell me everything. Danielle laughed at her friend's enthusiasm. His name is Noah. He was nice, gentle. We talked for almost 2 hours. Danielle Pierce, did you get his number? Are you seeing him again? Friday, Danielle admitted. Same restaurant, Lisa squealed. I can't believe this. You went out to practice being alone and ended up with a date. It's not a date, Danielle protested weakly. It's just dinner. Honey, when a man and woman who are attracted to each other share a meal with conversation and laughter, that's called a date. Danielle sighed. I'm not ready to date, Lisa. I'm still getting over David. David left you, remember? He's the one who walked away after 7 years without even trying to fix things. You don't owe him your loneliness. The words stung, but Danielle knew they were true. David had left when things got difficult, claiming she had changed too much. The truth was, she had finally started standing up for herself after years of bending to his wishes. Just be open to possibilities, Lisa continued, her voice gentler. This Noah guy might be exactly what you need right now. What I need is to figure out who I am without David, Danielle countered. And who says you can't do that while getting to know someone new? Just promise me you'll go on Friday with an open mind. After ending the call, Danielle sat in the quiet of her apartment, thinking about Noah's words. If you ever order for 2 again, I'd like to be the second. There had been something in his eyes when he said it, a sincerity that touched her. She had spent 7 years with a man who had slowly stopped seeing her. Noah had truly seen her in just one evening. An open mind, she whispered to herself. I can do that. Friday arrived both too quickly and not quickly enough. Danielle changed her outfit 3 times before settling on a simple blue dress that Lisa always said brought out her eyes. She arrived at the restaurant 10 minutes early, her stomach fluttering with nerves. Welcome back, Miss Pierce, the hostess greeted her with a warm smile. Your table is ready. Will you be dining alone tonight? No, Danielle said, surprised at how good it felt to say those words. I'm meeting someone. The hostess led her to the same table by the window. Danielle had just sat down when she saw Noah walk in. He looked even more handsome than she remembered, dressed in a light blue shirt that complemented his dark hair. When he saw her, his face lit up with a smile that made her heart skip. You came, he said, as he joined her at the hay table. I said I would. Danielle replied, suddenly shy. I know, but I half expected you to change your mind. After all, I'm a stranger who invited himself to your table. Danielle smiled. Well, I figured anyone who likes their steak medium rare can't be all bad. Noah laughed, the sound warm and genuine. I'm glad my meat preferences meet with your approval. As they studied their menus, Danielle felt the nervousness begin to fade, replaced by the same comfortable feeling she had experienced during their first meeting. "So, what looks good?" Noah asked. "Everything," Danielle admitted. "But I think I'll try the chicken piccata tonight." "Excellent choice. I'm leaning toward the sea base." When the waitress came to take their order, Danielle experienced a moment of déjà vu. This was how it had been with David in the beginning: the excitement of sharing a meal, the anticipation of conversation, the joy of connection. But Noah wasn't David. Where David had always dominated conversations, Noah asked questions and genuinely listened to her answers. Where David had checked his phone constantly during meals, Noah kept his full attention on her. "Tell me something about yourself that most people don't know," Noah said as they waited for their food. Danielle thought for a moment. "I wanted to be a painter when I was younger. I was actually pretty good, but my parents convinced me to pursue something more practical." "What did you end up studying?" "Accounting," Danielle said with a small laugh. "About as far from painting as you can." "Do you still paint?" Noah asked. Danielle shook her head. "Not for years." David thought it was a waste of time. Noah frowned slightly. "That's a shame. Creative expression is never a waste of time." "What about you?" Danielle asked, wanting to shift the focus away from her ex-husband. "What's something people don't know about you?" Noah took a sip of his wine before answering. "I collect old vinyl records. My father was a music teacher, and he passed his love of music down to me. I have over 300 albums now." "What kind of music?" "Everything from classical to jazz to rock. But my favorites are the blues recordings from the 40s and 50s. As they continued talking, Danielle found herself opening up more than she had intended. She told Noah about growing up with strict parents, her college years, and even a little about her marriage to David, how it had started with such promise and ended with such emptiness. "He just stopped seeing me," she explained, surprised at her own candor. "At first I tried harder, dressed nicer, cooked better meals, became more interested in his hobbies. But nothing worked. He had already checked out emotionally." Noah reached across the table and gently touched her hand. "His loss, Danielle. A man who can't appreciate what he has doesn't deserve to keep it." The simple touch of his hand on hers sent warmth spreading through Danielle's body. It had been so long since someone had touched her with such tenderness. Their evenings stretched into hours, the restaurant slowly emptying around them. When they finally left, Noah walked her to her car. "I had a wonderful time," he said, standing, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something subtle and masculine. "So did I," Danielle replied honestly. "Would it be too forward to ask to see you again? Maybe Sunday? We could go for a walk in the park if the weather's nice." Danielle felt a moment of hesitation. This was moving quickly, and she had promised herself time to heal before getting involved with someone new. But there was something about Noah that made her want to say yes. "I'd like that," she found herself saying. Noah smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners in a way that made her heart flutter. "Great. Shall I pick you up at 1?" After exchanging phone numbers, they said goodnight. As Danielle drove home, she realized she was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in months. Maybe Lisa was right. Maybe getting to know Noah didn't have to interfere with finding herself again. Maybe, just maybe, he could be part of that journey. What Danielle didn't know was that Noah Strickland had a secret, one that would soon change everything between them. He wasn't just the simple, kind man who had shared her table. He was much more than that. And when she discovered the truth, she would have to decide if what they were building was real or just another illusion. But for now, in the quiet of her car, Danielle allowed herself to feel something she hadn't felt in a long time. In hope. Sunday morning dawned bright and clear, perfect weather for a walk in the park. Danielle stood in front of her closet, trying to decide what to wear. After trying on 3 different outfits, she settled on jeans, a light sweater, and comfortable walking shoes. "It's just a walk," she reminded herself. "Not a fashion show." But the butterflies in her stomach told a different story. This was more than just a casual stroll with a new friend. There was something about Noah that made her feel alive again, and that both excited and terrified her. At precisely 1 o'clock, her doorbell rang. Noah stood on her doorstep, looking handsome in jeans and a navy blue jacket. He held a small paper bag in one hand. "Right on time," Danielle said with a smile, grabbing her purse. "I've been told punctuality is my superpower," Noah replied. "These are for you." He handed her the paper bag. Inside, Danielle found a set of paintbrushes, not cheap ones from a craft store, but professional-grade brushes with fine bristles and balanced handles. "You mentioned you used to paint," Noah explained, looking a bit uncertain. "I thought maybe you might want to start again." Danielle was speechless. David had never encouraged her painting, had in fact called it a nice little hobby in that dismissive way of his. "This is really thoughtful," she finally managed. "Thank you." Noah's smile returned, relief evident in his eyes. "I'm glad you like them. I wasn't sure if it was too presumptuous." "Not at all," Danielle assured him, placing the brushes carefully on her entryway table. "I'm touched that you remembered." They walked to a nearby park where spring had painted the landscape with fresh green leaves and colorful flowers. The paths were filled with people enjoying the beautiful day. Couples holding hands, families with children, joggers and dog walkers. "So," Noah said as they found a less crowded path, "tell me more about Danielle Pierce. What makes you happy?" The key question caught her off guard. No one had asked her that in a long time. "I'm not sure anymore," she admitted. "I think I lost track of what makes me happy somewhere along the way." Noah nodded, understanding in his eyes. "That happens sometimes. We get so caught up in making others happy that we forget about ourselves." "Exactly," Danielle said, surprised at how well he understood. "For years my happiness was tied to David's. If he was happy, I was happy. If he was stressed or upset, I was too. When he left..." She paused, still finding it difficult to talk about. "When he left, I realized I didn't know who I was without him." "And now?" Noah asked gently. Danielle thought for a moment. "Now I'm figuring it out. My therapist says I need to rediscover what brings me joy. Hence the dinner alone and the paintbrushes," Noah said with a smile. "Hence the dinner that wasn't alone after all," Danielle corrected, returning his smile. They walked in comfortable silence for a while, their arms occasionally brushing against each other. Each brief contact sent a small thrill through Danielle, reminding her how long it had been since she'd felt this kind of attraction. "What about you?" she asked eventually. "What makes Noah Strickland happy?" Noah considered the question. "Simple things mostly. A good book, music that moves me, conversations that matter." He glanced at her. "Walks in the park with interesting women who order 2 meals by accident." Danielle laughed, feeling her cheeks warm. "I'm never going to live that down, am I? Not." "If I can help it," Noah teased. "It's not every day a beautiful woman accidentally orders me dinner." They came to a small pond where ducks swam lazily in the sunlight. Noah bought them ice cream from a vendor, and they sat on a bench watching children throw bread to the birds. "You're good with children," Danielle observed, as Noah helped a little boy who had dropped his ice cream cone, buying him a new one and wiping away his tears. Noah shrugged. "I like kids, they're honest. No pretense, no hidden agendas. Do you want children someday?" The question slipped out before Danielle could stop it. "I'm sorry, that's way too personal for a second date." "Is that what this is? A date?" Noah asked, his eyes twinkling. Danielle felt flustered. "I didn't mean, I just assumed..." "I'm teasing you," Noah said, gently touching her hand. "And yes, I'd like children someday. What about you?" Danielle nodded. "David wasn't ready. He always said next year, but next year never came." "His loss," Noah said simply. "You'd make a wonderful mother." The words touched Danielle deeply. She had always wanted children, had imagined reading them bedtime stories and teaching them to paint, another dream that had faded during her marriage. As the afternoon wore on, they talked about everything and nothing. Favorite books, childhood memories, travel destinations they hoped to visit someday. Noah was easy to talk to, a good listener, who seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts and feelings. When the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, they reluctantly headed back toward Danielle's apartment. "Would you like to come in for coffee?" she asked when they reached her door, then immediately worried it sounded like an invitation for more. "I'd love to," Noah said, seeming to understand her hesitation. Just coffee. Danielle's apartment was small but cozy, decorated with finds from thrift stores and flea markets. She'd always had an eye for seeing potential in overlooked things. "This is lovely," Noah said, looking around with genuine appreciation. "Very you. Very me?" Danielle asked as she prepared the coffee. Warm, inviting, unpretentious. Danielle smiled, pleased by his assessment. "Most of it is second-hand. David used to hate that I brought home other people's junk, as he called it. I'd call it having vision," Noah countered, "seeing value where others don't." As they sat on her small couch sipping coffee, Danielle found herself studying Noah's face. There was kindness there and intelligence, but also something else, a hint of sadness perhaps, or loneliness. "What?" he asked, catching her gaze. "Nothing," she said quickly. I'm trying to figure you out." Noah raised an eyebrow. "And what have you figured out so far?" "That you're different," Danielle admitted. "Different from most men I've known. In a good way, I hope." "In a very good way," she confirmed. Their eyes met, and Danielle felt that same electric connection she had experienced the first night at the restaurant. Noah leaned slightly closer, then hesitated as if asking permission. Danielle closed the distance between them, her lips meeting his in a gentle kiss. It was brief, just a moment of connection, but it sent warmth spreading through her body. When they pulled apart, Noah's eyes were soft with emotion. "I've wanted to do that since I first saw you," he admitted. "Even when I was embarrassed about ordering 2 meals, Danielle teased. "Especially then," Noah said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "You looked so beautifully human in that moment." The gesture was tender, intimate in a way that made Danielle both nervous and excited. It had been so long since she had felt desired, appreciated, seen. Noah glanced at his watch and sighed. "I should go. I have an early meeting tomorrow. On you." "A Monday morning? You have my sympathy," Danielle said, walking him to the door. Noah smiled ruefully. "The price of being the boss, I'm afraid." "What exactly do you do?" Danielle asked, realizing she still knew very little about his professional life. "I'm in hospitality," Noah said vaguely. "Hotels, restaurants, that sort of thing." "That explains why you were dining alone that night," Danielle said. "Checking out the competition?" "Something like that," Noah replied with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Can I see you again? Wednesday evening, perhaps?" "I'd like that," Danielle said softly. Noah leaned in and kissed her cheek. "Good night, Danielle Pierce. Thank you for a perfect day." After he left, Danielle touched her lips, still feeling the gentle pressure of his kiss. She hadn't expected to feel this way again, this mixture of excitement and fear, hope and caution. "Take it slow," she told herself. "Don't rush into anything." But as she got ready for bed, she found herself looking forward to Wednesday with an anticipation she hadn't felt in years. Noah sat in the back of the town car, his mind on Danielle rather than the emails he should be reviewing on his phone. His driver, James, glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "Good day, sir?" James asked. "The best," Noah replied with a smile. "The very best." As they pulled up to his hotel, Noah saw his assistant, Melissa, waiting in the lobby. Her presence on her Sunday evening meant something important had come up. "Mr. Strickland," she said as he entered, "I'm sorry to intrude on your weekend, but Mr. Davidson from the Chicago property has been calling every hour. He says it's urgent." Noah sighed, the real world intruding on his perfect day. "Set up a video call in my suite in 15 minutes. Upstairs, Noah changed into a suit before taking the call. Richard Davidson's face appeared on the screen, looking anxious. "Noah, thank you for taking my call. We have a situation with the renovation. The contractor found structural issues that weren't in the original inspection. We're looking at significant delays and cost overruns." For the next hour, Noah listened, asked questions, and made decisions. That would impact the $100 million project. This was his life, managing a hospitality empire that included luxury hotels and restaurants across the country. When the call ended, Noah loosened his tie and poured himself a drink. He hadn't told Danielle who he really was, that he wasn't just in hospitality, but was the CEO and founder of Strickland Hospitality Group, a company valued at over $2 billion. He had his reasons for the omission. Too many relationships had been tainted by his wealth and status. Women who were more interested in what he could give them than who he was. Business associates disguised as friends. People who wanted something from him rather than simply wanting him. With Danielle, it was different. She had no idea who he was, and he wanted to keep it that way for as long as possible. With her, he was just Noah. Not Noah Strickland, CEO. Not the man whose face occasionally appeared in business magazines, but he knew he couldn't keep the truth from her forever. Sooner or later, she would discover who he really was, and then he would find out if what they were building was real or just another illusion. For now, though, he wanted to hold on to the simplicity of being just a man who had been lucky enough to share a table with a woman who ordered dinner for two out of habit. Monday morning found Danielle at her desk at Pierce Accounting, the small firm she had started after her divorce. It had been David's idea originally. Why work for someone else when you could work for yourself? But she had been the one to make it happen, building a clientele of small businesses and individuals who appreciated her attention to detail and personal touch. Her assistant, Jenny, poked her head in the door. "You look different today." "Different how?" Danielle asked, looking up from her computer. "I don't know, happier maybe? There's color in your cheeks." Jenny narrowed her eyes. "Did something happen this weekend?" Danielle tried to keep her expression neutral. "I had a nice walk in the park. The weather was beautiful." "Uh-huh," Jenny said skeptically. "A walk? Alone?" "Not exactly," Danielle admitted. "I met someone. It's nothing serious." Jenny grinned triumphantly. "I knew it. Tell me everything. Who is he? How did you meet?" Danielle sighed, knowing her assistant wouldn't let it go. "His name is Noah. We met at a restaurant last week when I accidentally ordered 2 meals and he offered to join me." "That's so romantic," Jenny exclaimed, "like something out of a movie." "It's not romantic," Danielle protested. "It's new and fragile, and probably not going anywhere." Jenny's expression softened. "Because of David?" "Because of me," Danielle corrected. "I'm not ready for anything serious." "Sometimes the heart has its own timeline," Jenny said wisely. "Don't close yourself off to possibilities just because you're afraid." Danielle was saved from responding by the arrival of her first client of the day, but Jenny's words stayed with her. Was she afraid? Was she letting fear of being hurt again keep her from opening up to Noah? The rest of the day passed in a blur of tax forms and financial statements. When Danielle finally left the office, her phone buzzed with a text message from Noah. "Thinking about you today. Looking forward to Wednesday." The simple message made her smile. She typed a reply. "Me too, on both counts." When she got home, Danielle noticed the paintbrushes Noah had given her, still sitting on her entryway table. On impulse, she went to the storage closet and dug out her old art supplies, canvases, paints, and easels she hadn't used in years. Setting everything up in the spare bedroom, she stared at the blank canvas. It had been so long since she had painted that she wasn't sure she remembered how. But as she picked up one of the new brushes, feeling its weight and balance, something stirred inside her. A creative spark that had been dormant for too long. She began to paint, hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence. The image that emerged was of a restaurant table with 2 place settings, illuminated by warm candlelight. It wasn't her best work, but it felt good to create again, to express herself in color and form. When she finally put down her brush, hours had passed. Her back ached from standing so long, and her fingers were stained with paint. But she felt a satisfaction she had almost forgotten. "Thank you, Noah," she whispered to the empty room. Wednesday couldn't come quickly enough, Noah had suggested. A different restaurant. A special place, he had called it. When he picked her up, Danielle was surprised to see a sleek black town car waiting at the curb, a uniformed driver holding the door open. "Is this for us?" she asked, confused. "It is," Noah confirmed. "I hope you don't mind. The restaurant is a bit of a drive." As they settled into the luxurious back seat, Danielle felt a twinge of unease. This was different from their previous dates, more formal, more expensive. "You look beautiful," Noah said, his eyes appreciative as they took in her simple black dress. "Thank you," Danielle replied. "You clean up pretty well yourself." Noah was dressed in a tailored suit that fit him perfectly, suggesting it was custom-made. His watch, which she hadn't noticed before, looked expensive, the kind David had always wanted but could never afford. "Where exactly are we going?" she asked as the car moved smoothly through traffic. "It's a surprise," Noah said with a mysterious smile, "but I think you'll like it." They drove for about 30 minutes, leaving the city behind and heading into the countryside. Finally, the car turned onto a long, winding driveway that led to a stone building nestled among trees. Soft lights illuminated gardens that stretched into the darkness. "What is this place?" Danielle asked, her voice hushed. "La Maison," Noah replied. "One of the best restaurants in the state. They grow all their own produce and raise their own livestock, farm to table in the truest sense." As they approached the entrance, the staff seemed to recognize Noah. The maitre d' greeted him by name and led them to what was clearly the best table in the house, overlooking the gardens. "Mr. Strickland, it's always a pleasure," the maitre d' said. "Chef Bernard asked me to tell you he's prepared something special tonight." "Thank you, Antoine," Noah replied. "This is Ms. Pierce. Please make sure she gets the full experience." "Of course, sir." When they were alone, Danielle looked at Noah with new eyes. "They know you here." Noah nodded, looking slightly uncomfortable. "I come here occasionally for business dinners." "You must be more important in the hospitality world than you let on," Danielle said, trying to keep her tone light. "I do all right," Noah replied with a small shrug. "But tonight isn't about my work. It's about us." The meal that followed was unlike anything Danielle had ever experienced. Course after course of exquisite food, each presented with artistic flair and explained by servers who treated their work as a performance. Wine appeared and disappeared from their glasses as if by magic, each selection perfectly paired with the food. "This is incredible," Danielle said, as she tasted a dessert that looked like a work of art. "But it must cost a fortune." "Don't worry about that," Noah said, reaching across the table to take her hand. "Tonight is my treat." As they drove back to the city, Danielle found herself wondering who Noah Strickland really was. The town car, the expensive restaurant where the staff knew him by name, the way he had handled the evening with such ease, all suggested someone with far more money and influence than a middle manager in hospitality. When they reached her apartment, Noah walked her to her door. "Thank you for coming tonight," he said. "I wanted to show you something special." "It was amazing," Danielle admitted. "But Noah, I'm not used to that kind of luxury. I'm a simple accountant with a small practice. I don't live in that world." Noah's eyes softened. "I know. And that's one of the things I like about you. You're real, Danielle. In a world full of pretense, you're refreshingly authentic." He leaned in and kissed her, more deeply than before. Danielle responded, her arms circling his neck as the kiss deepened. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing harder. "Would you like to come in?" Danielle asked, surprised at her own boldness. Noah's eyes darkened with desire, but he shook his head. "Not tonight. I want to do this right, Danielle. I don't want to rush." His restraint touched her. David had always pushed for intimacy, had sometimes made her feel guilty for wanting to wait. "You're a surprising man, Noah Strickland," she said. Softly. "I hope that's a good thing," he replied. "It is," she assured him. "A very good thing." They said goodnight with one more gentle kiss. As Danielle watched him walk back to the waiting car, she felt a mixture of emotions. Attraction, certainly, but also confusion and a hint of worry. Who was Noah, really? And why did she feel like he was keeping something from her? In the following weeks, Noah and Danielle settled into a rhythm. They saw each other 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes for fancy dinners, sometimes for simple walks or movies at her apartment. Noah always seemed content with whatever they did, as happy eating takeout on her couch as he was dining at expensive restaurants. Danielle had started painting regularly again, setting up a small studio in her spare bedroom. Noah encouraged her. Talent, bringing her art books and supplies, listening with genuine interest as she talked about techniques and inspirations. "You're really good," he said one evening as he looked at her latest work, a landscape of the park where they had walked on their first date. "I'm rusty," Danielle replied. but it feels good to create again. You should show these somewhere, Noah suggested. A gallery, maybe, Danielle laughed. I'm not that good. These are just for me. Art is meant to be shared, Noah insisted. Your work deserves to be seen. His belief in her was both flattering and slightly overwhelming. No one had ever taken her painting so seriously before. As their relationship deepened, Danielle found herself falling for Noah, his kindness, his intelligence, his way of making her feel valued and seen. But she still sensed he was holding something back, especially when it came to his work. Whenever she asked about his job, he would give vague answers about the hospitality business or change the subject. He never invited her to his place, always coming to her apartment or meeting her at restaurants or other public places. "Where do you live?" she asked one night as they sat on her couch watching an old movie. "I have a suite at the Grand Right." "Now," Noah replied, "I'm between permanent places." "The Grand," Danielle repeated. "That's one of the most expensive hotels in the city. You must be doing very well to live there." Noah shrugged. "It's convenient for work." Danielle studied his face. "Noah, what aren't you telling me? Who are you really?" Noah looked at her for a long moment, then sighed. "You're right. There's something I should have told you from the beginning. I wanted you to know me, the real me, not what I do or what I have." "What do you mean?" Danielle asked, a sense of unease growing in her stomach. "I'm not just in hospitality, Danielle. I'm the CEO and founder of Strickland Hospitality Group. We own hotels and restaurants across the country, including the Grand and La Maison." Danielle stared at him, trying to process this information. "You own La Maison? The restaurant you took me to?" Noah nodded. "And about 30 others like it, plus 23 hotels and resorts." "Why didn't you tell me?" Danielle asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Because people treat me differently when they know," Noah explained. "They want something from me, money, connections, status, or they're intimidated, afraid to be themselves. With you, it was just us. No complications, no expectations. Just two people getting to know each other." Danielle felt a confusing mix of emotions. Surprise, yes, but also hurt that he hadn't trusted her with the truth. "I was going to tell you," Noah continued. "I just wanted to wait until I was sure what we had was real." "And is it?" Danielle asked. "Real?" Noah reached for her hand. "For me, it is. I've never felt this way about anyone before. The question is, does knowing who I am change how you feel about me?" Danielle looked into his eyes, searching for the man she had come to care for deeply. Was he still there behind the revelation of wealth and status? "I don't know," she admitted honestly. "I need time to think about this, Noah. It's a lot to take in." Noah nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Of course, take all the time you need." As he left her apartment that night, Danielle felt as though the ground had shifted beneath her feet. Noah Strickland wasn't just a man who had shared her table on a rainy night. He was a powerful CEO, a wealthy businessman whose world was far removed from her own. Could they bridge that gap? Did she want to try? And most importantly, was the man she had fallen for real or just another illusion? The following morning, as Danielle was preparing for work, her doorbell rang. When she opened the door, she found a delivery man holding a large flat package. "Delivery for Danielle Pierce," he said. Inside was a beautiful wooden easel, clearly expensive, handcrafted with care. A note was attached. "For your art, because I believe in you, just as you are. No strings, no expectations. Just a gift from someone who sees your talent and wants to support it. Noah." Danielle ran her hand over the smooth wood, tears filling her eyes. The gift wasn't showy or extravagant. It was thoughtful, personal, meaningful. Maybe that was who Noah truly was, regardless of his wealth or status. Maybe what they had really was real. But before she could fully process her feelings, her phone rang. The caller ID showed a name she hadn't seen in months. David. Her ex-husband was calling, and Danielle had a feeling her already complicated life was about to become even more so. Danielle stared at her phone, David's name flashing on the screen. Her heart pounded as memories flooded back. 7 years of marriage, the slow disintegration of their relationship, the day he walked out saying she had changed. Her finger hovered over the decline button, but curiosity won out. "Hello, Danny," David said, using the nickname she had once loved. "It's good to hear your voice." "What do you want, David?" she asked, trying to keep her tone neutral. "I was hoping we could meet, talk. There are things I need to say to you." Danielle closed her eyes, remembering the pain of those final months of their marriage. "I don't think that's a good idea." "Please," David said, his voice softening. "Just coffee. 30 minutes of your time, that's all I'm asking." She should say no, she knew that, but part of her, a small wounded part that still wanted answers, made her agree. "Fine. Coffee. Today at 4 at Riverside Cafe." "Thank you, Danny. I'll be there." After hanging up, Danielle leaned against the wall, emotions swirling inside her. Why now? Why, just when she was starting to move forward with Noah, did David have to reappear in her life? She ran her fingers over the beautiful easel Noah had sent, a gift that showed how well he understood her, how much he supported her dreams. Unlike David, who had seen her painting as a distraction from what really mattered him. With a sigh, Danielle finished getting ready for work, pushing thoughts of both men to the back of her mind. But as she drove to her office, questions kept surfacing. What did David want? And what was she going to do about Noah's revelation? Riverside Cafe was busy with the afternoon crowd when Danielle arrived. She spotted David immediately, sitting at a table by the window. He looked good, his dark hair neatly styled, his suit obviously expensive. Success had always suited him. "Danny," he said, standing as she approached. "Thank you for coming." "It's Danielle," she corrected him, sitting down. "Only my friends call me Danny now." A flash of hurt crossed David's face, but he nodded. "Of course, Danielle. Can I get you something? They have that hazelnut latte you always liked." "Just black coffee," she replied, surprised he remembered her. Preference from years ago, but unwilling to acknowledge it. When their drinks arrived, an awkward silence fell between them. Finally, David spoke. "You look good, Danielle, really good. There's something different about you." "There is," she agreed. "I'm not the same person I was when you left." David nodded, his expression serious. "That's partly why I wanted to see you. I've been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of soul-searching. I made a mistake, Danielle, the biggest mistake of my life." Danielle took a sip of her coffee, waiting for him to continue. "When I said you changed, I meant it as a criticism." David continued. "But I was wrong. You were growing, becoming more confident, more independent, and instead of growing with you, I felt threatened." The words were surprisingly insightful, not something she had expected from David, who had always struggled to admit fault. "I've been seeing a therapist," he added, seeming to read her thoughts, "trying to understand what went wrong between us." "And what did you find out?" Danielle asked, unable to keep the skepticism from her voice. "That I was selfish, that I wanted you to stay the same while I changed, advanced in my career, evolved, that I took you for granted." He reached across the table, not quite touching her hand. "That I lost the best thing that ever happened to me." Danielle felt a confusing mix of emotions, vindication that he finally saw what she had known for years, anger that it had taken him so long, and a small, treacherous flutter of something that felt dangerously like hope. "Why now, David? It's been months." "Because I realized what I threw away," he said, meeting her eyes. "Because I still love you, Danielle. Because I want another chance." The words hung between them, heavy with implication. 6 months ago, Danielle would have given anything to hear David say those things. Now she wasn't sure what she felt. "I'm seeing someone," she said finally. David nodded, pain flashing in his eyes. "I suspected as much. You have this glow about you. I remember it from when we first met." "His name is Noah," Danielle continued. He's good to me, David. He sees me, really sees me." "Like I should have," David said quietly. "I understand. But Danielle, we have history. 7 years together. That counts for something, doesn't it?" Before she could answer, her phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Noah. "Thinking of you. Can we talk tonight?" "I should go," Danielle said. putting her phone away. "This was unexpected. Will you at least think about what I said?" David asked as she stood. "About giving us another chance." Danielle looked at him, the man she had once loved enough to marry, the man who had broken her heart by walking away. "I can't make any promises, David. My life is different now." "I understand," he said, "but I'm not giving up, Danielle, not this time." As she left the cafe, Danielle felt more confused than ever. David's words had stirred memories and emotions she thought were long buried, and now she had to face Noah, with his revelation still fresh between them. Noah was waiting in the lobby of her apartment building when she got home from work. He looked tired, his usual confident demeanor replaced by uncertainty. "Hi," he said, standing as she approached. "I hope it's okay that I came by. I needed to see you." "It's fine," Danielle replied, leading him upstairs to her apartment. "I've been thinking about you too." Inside, Noah noticed the easel he had sent, now set up, by the window with a half-finished painting on it. "You're using it," he said, pleasure evident in his voice. "It's perfect," Danielle said. "Thank you, it was very thoughtful." An awkward silence fell between them, so different from their usual easy conversation. "Danielle, about last night?" Noah began. "I should have told you the truth from the beginning. I've been hurt before by people who wanted me for what I could give them, not for who I am." Danielle nodded, understanding his fear. "I get that, Noah, but relationships need trust. You didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth." "You're right," Noah admitted, "and I'm sorry. I just wanted to be sure what we had was real before I complicated things with my situation." "Is that what your wealth is to you? A situation?" Danielle asked. Noah sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Sometimes it feels that way. People treat me differently when they know. They want something, or they're intimidated, or they see me as a resource rather than a person. I'm not people, Noah. I'm the woman you've been seeing for weeks now. The woman you've been intimate with, not physically, but emotionally. You know things about me that even David didn't know." "David?" Noah asked, his expression sharpening. "Your ex-husband?" Danielle hesitated, then decided on honesty. "He called me today, wanted to meet for coffee." "And did you meet him?" "Yes," Danielle admitted. "He wanted to talk, to apologize." Noah's face was carefully neutral, but Danielle could see the tension in his shoulders. What did he want besides apologizing? "He wants another chance," Danielle said quietly. "He says he still loves me." Noah was silent for a long moment. "And how do you feel about that?" "Confused," Danielle admitted. "A few months ago I would have given anything to hear him say those words. Now, I don't know." "Because of me?" Noah asked, his voice gentle. "Partly," Danielle said. "You've shown me what it feels like to be truly seen, Noah, to be valued for who I am, not what I can do for someone else." "But," Noah prompted, sensing there was more, "but David and I have history, 7 years together. That's not nothing." Noah nodded, understanding in his eyes. "So where does that leave us?" Danielle moved to the window, looking out at the city lights. "I need time, Noah, time to sort through my feelings, to figure out what I really want." She expected him to argue, to try to convince her that what they had was worth fighting for. But instead, Noah simply nodded. "I understand," he said softly. "Take all the time you need, Danielle. I'll be here when you're ready." The simplicity of his acceptance moved her deeply. David would have pushed, would have tried to force a decision before she was ready. "Thank you," she whispered. Noah crossed the room to stand beside her. Gently, he turned her to face him. "Just know that what I feel for you is real, Danielle. Sav or not, wealth or not, the man who sat at your table that night is who I really am. The man who falls more in love with you every day. Love." He had said love. The word hung between them, a declaration neither had been brave enough to make, until now. Noah leaned down and kissed her, a gentle, tender kiss that spoke of patience and understanding. When he pulled away, his eyes were full of emotion. "Good night, Danielle," he said softly. "Take your time, I'll wait." After he left, Danielle sat on her couch, emotions churning inside her. 2 men, 2 possibilities, 2 very different futures. How could she possibly choose? The next few days were a blur of confusion for Danielle. David called daily, sending flowers to her office, suggesting dinner, reminiscing about good times from their marriage. He was charming, attentive, everything. She had wished he had been during their last years together. Noah, true to his word, gave her space. He sent one text each day, not pushing, not demanding, just letting her know he was thinking of her. The sunset made me think of your painting. Saw a dog in the park that looked like the one that made you laugh last week. Small, thoughtful, messages that touched her heart. I don't know what to do, Danielle told Lisa over lunch. David is saying all the right things. He seems genuinely sorry, genuinely changed. People don't change that much, Lisa said skeptically. Not in a few months. He's seeing a therapist, Danielle countered. He's doing the work. And Noah? What about him? Danielle sighed. Noah is perfect, kind, thoughtful, patient. He sees me, Lisa, really sees me. So what's the problem? Lisa asked. He's also a billionaire CEO who owns hotels and restaurants all over the country, Danielle said. He lives in a world I know nothing about. Lisa's eyes widened. Wait, what? Noah is rich? You never mentioned that part. Because I just found out myself, Danielle explained. He kept it from me, wanted me to know him as a person first. Smart man, Lisa said with a nod. But now you know and you're scared. Wouldn't you be? Danielle asked. His world is so different from mine. What if I don't fit in? What if his friends and business associates look at me and see a simple accountant who isn't good enough for him? Is that what Noah thinks? No, Danielle admitted. He says none of that matters to him. Then maybe it shouldn't matter to you either, Lisa suggested. The question isn't whether you fit into Noah's world or David's world. The question is which man fits into yours. Which one makes you feel most like yourself, the self you want to be? Danielle considered her friend's words. Which man made her feel most like herself? David had always wanted her to be a certain way, supportive, agreeable, focused on his needs and his career. Noah encouraged her painting, listened to her ideas, valued her opinions. I think I know the answer, Danielle said slowly. But I'm scared, Lisa. What if I make the wrong choice? That's the risk we all take, Lisa said gently, but not choosing is a choice too, and usually the worst one. That evening, Danielle was preparing dinner when her doorbell rang. She opened it to find David standing there holding a bottle of wine. I thought we could have dinner, he said with a charming smile. Like old times. David. I didn't agree to dinner, Danielle said, not inviting him in. I told you I needed time to think. I know, but I miss you, Danny, he said, using the nickname again despite her correction. We were good together. We could be again. Were we? Danielle asked. Really? David's smile faltered. Of course we were. We had 7 good years. Did we? Danielle pressed. Because I remember feeling lonely, even when you were right next to me. I remember giving up my painting because you thought it was a waste of time. I remember changing myself to try to make you happy, and still not being enough. That was my fault, David admitted. I see that now. But people can change, Danielle. I've changed. Maybe you have, Danielle conceded. But I've changed too. David, I'm not the same woman you left. I can see that, he said, his eyes taking in the paint stains on her hands, the easel visible through the open door. You're painting again. That's good. I was wrong to discourage you. His acknowledgement surprised her. Maybe he really had changed. But was it enough? Would you like to come in? She found herself asking. David's face lit up. I'd love to. Inside, he moved through her apartment with the familiarity of someone who had once lived there, though he had never seen this place. Danielle had moved after the divorce, needing a fresh start. Nice place, he said. Smaller than our house, but cozy. I like it, Danielle replied. It's mine. David nodded, seeming to understand the significance of her words. You've made a good life for yourself, Danielle. I'm proud of you. The words should have pleased her, but instead they irritated her. Why should he be proud of her, as if her accomplishments somehow reflected well on him? I didn't do it for your approval, David, she said more sharply than she intended. I know that, he said quickly. I just meant, I admire what you've done. On your own. Danielle softened slightly. Thank you. It hasn't been easy, but it's been necessary. They talked over dinner, pasta she had been preparing for herself, now shared with the man she had once planned to spend her life with. David was attentive, asking about her accounting practice, her painting, her friends. He seemed genuinely interested in her life in a way he hadn't been during their marriage. I was selfish, he admitted, as they finished the bottle of wine he had brought. I was so focused on my own career, my own needs, that I stopped seeing you. I took you for granted. Yes, you did, Danielle agreed, but I let you. I stopped standing up for myself, for what I wanted. That's on me. We both made mistakes, David said, reaching across the table to take her hand. But we can learn from them, Danielle. Start fresh. Do better this time. The touch of his hand was familiar, the same hand that had once slipped a wedding ring onto her finger, the same hand that had packed a suitcase and walked out the door. David, Her words were cut off by the sound of her phone ringing. It was Noah. I should get that, she said, pulling her hand away. Your boyfriend? David asked, unable to keep the bitterness from his voice. Danielle didn't answer, just picked up the phone. Hello? Danielle. Noah's voice was tense. I'm sorry to call so late. I know you asked for space, but something's happened. My mother's had a heart attack. I'm at City Hospital. Oh, Noah, I'm so sorry, Danielle said, concern immediately replacing her confusion. Is she going to be okay? They don't know yet, Noah replied, his voice strained. She's in surgery now. I needed to hear your voice. I'll be right there, Danielle said without hesitation. You don't have to. I want to, she interrupted. Which floor? 4th, cardiac unit. Danielle, thank you. After hanging up, she turned to find David watching her, his expression unreadable. You're going to him, he said. It wasn't a question. His mother had a heart attack, Danielle explained. Already grabbing her purse and keys. She's in surgery. And you're what, racing to his side, playing the supportive girlfriend? David's tone had changed, the charm replaced by something harder. I'm being there for someone I care about, Danielle replied. That's what people do. David, we were in the middle of a conversation, he protested, about our future. No, you were talking about our future, Danielle corrected him. I was listening. There's a difference. David's face hardened. So that's it. He calls and you come running. Something in his tone, the entitlement, the assumption that she should prioritize him, clarified everything for Danielle. Yes, she said simply, because he needs me, and because I want to be there for him. I'm sorry, David, but you need to leave now. Danielle, now, David, she repeated firmly. We can talk another time. Reluctantly, David stood. At the door, he turned to her, his expression softening into the charming smile she had once found irresistible. Think about what I said, Danny. About us. About starting fresh. Danielle nodded, not wanting to argue anymore. Good night, David. Cool. Hospital corridors were quiet. The overhead lights dimmed for the evening. Danielle found Noah in the cardiac waiting room, sitting alone, his head in his hands. Noah, she said softly. He looked up, relief flooding his face when he saw her. Danielle, you came. Of course I came, she said, sitting beside him and taking his hand. How is she? Still in surgery, Noah replied, his voice tight with worry. She's 72. The doctor says her age is a concern, but she's always been healthy. What happened? She collapsed at home. The housekeeper found her and called 911. If Angela hadn't been there, he couldn't finish the sentence. Danielle squeezed his hand. But she was there. Your mother got help quickly. That's what matters now. Noah nodded, drawing strength from her presence. Thank you for coming. I know you're still figuring things out, and I didn't want to pressure you, but... Noah, Danielle interrupted gently. You needed me. That's all that matters right now. They sat together in silence, hands clasped, waiting for news. After what seemed like hours, a surgeon in blue scrubs approached them. Mr. Strickland. Noah stood, still holding Danielle's hand. Yes, how is my mother? She's stable, the surgeon said. We were able to place a stent to open the blocked artery. The next 24 hours will be critical, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Noah's relief was palpable. When can I see her? She's in recovery now. A nurse will come get you when she's settled in the ICU. It should be about 30 minutes. After the surgeon left, Noah turned to Danielle, tears in his eyes. She's going to be okay. Danielle embraced him, feeling his body shake with emotion. Yes, she is. She's strong, like her son. Noah held her tightly, drawing comfort from her. Presence. When he finally pulled back, his eyes were red but dry. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come, he admitted. I was sitting here alone, thinking about all the things I never said to her, all the time I spent working instead of visiting. She knows you love her, Danielle said gently. I hope so, Noah replied. Life is so fragile, Danielle. 1 minute everything's fine, the next. He shook his head. It makes you think about what really matters. And what does matter? Danielle asked softly. Noah looked into her eyes. Love. Connection. Being with the people who see you for who you really are. The words resonated deeply with Danielle. Wasn't that what she had been seeking all along? Someone who truly saw her? A nurse approached them. Mr. Strickland, your mother is asking for you. Noah stood, then hesitated, looking at Danielle. Will you wait? I won't be long. I'll be right here, she promised. While Noah was with his mother, Danielle sat in the quiet waiting room, thinking about the events of the evening. The contrast between David and Noah couldn't have been clearer. David had been charming, attentive, saying all the right things, but when Noah needed her, he had expected her to stay, to prioritize their conversation about a possible reconciliation. Noah, on the other hand, had given her space when she asked for it, had respected her need to sort through her feelings, and when he finally did call, it wasn't to pressure her or to ask for a decision. It was because he was facing one of the scariest moments of his life and wanted her by his side. Her phone buzzed with a text from David. I hope your boyfriend's mother is okay. Call me tomorrow. We need to finish our conversation. Even his concern came with a demand attached. Danielle didn't reply. 20 minutes later, Noah returned, looking tired but relieved. She's awake, he said, sitting beside Danielle. Weak, but definitely still my mother. The first thing she said was to tell the chef at the Grand that his chicken soup is too salty. Danielle laughed softly. She sounds like a force of nature. She is, Noah agreed with a fond smile. She asked about you, wanted to know who the beautiful woman in the waiting room was. What did you tell her? The truth, Noah said simply, that you're the most amazing woman I've ever met, and that I'm in love with you. The words hung between them, honest and vulnerable. Danielle felt tears prick her eyes. Noah, I know, he said quickly. You need time, and I'll give you all the time you need. But tonight, seeing my mother like that, realizing how quickly everything can change, I needed you to know how I feel. Danielle looked into his eyes, kind eyes that had seen her, really seen her from that first night at the restaurant. I was with David when you called, she admitted. Noah's expression tightened, but he nodded. I figured as much. He came over uninvited, brought wine, talked about starting fresh, about how much he's changed. And has he? Noah asked, his voice carefully neutral. Maybe, Danielle conceded. But when I said I needed to come to you, he got angry, expected me to stay, to put him first. And you didn't, Noah observed. No, Danielle said firmly, because in that moment everything became clear to me. What do you mean? Danielle took a deep breath. David wants me to fit into his life, to be who he wants me to be. He says he's changed, and maybe he has, but he still sees me as an accessory to his life, not as a partner. Noah waited, not pushing, letting her find the words. You've never asked me to be anything other than who I am, Danielle continued. You encouraged my painting when David called it a waste of time. You listen when I talk. You see me, Noah. You really see me. Because you're worth seeing, Noah said simply. Worth knowing, worth loving. Danielle felt something settle inside her, a certainty, a rightness. I don't need more time, Noah. I know what I want. And what's that? He asked, hope lighting his eyes. You, Danielle said softly. Us. Whatever that looks like. Noah's smile was like the sun breaking through clouds. Are you sure? My life is complicated, Danielle. The money, the business, the public scrutiny. I don't care about any of that. Danielle interrupted. I care about you. The man who asked to share my table when I accidentally ordered for two. The man who gave me paintbrushes because he believed in my talent. The man who called me tonight, not because he wanted something from me, but because he needed me. Noah pulled her into his arms, holding her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. I love you, Danielle Pierce. I love you too, Noah Strickland, she whispered against his chest. CEO or not. They stayed that way for a long moment, finding comfort and certainty in each other's arms. The future wouldn't be simple. Noah's world was vastly different from hers, and integrating their lives would take work. But in that hospital waiting room, with the harsh fluorescent lights overhead and the smell of antiseptic in the air, Danielle knew she had made the right choice. She had chosen the man who saw her for who she truly was, who loved her not despite her changes but because of them. She had chosen the man who didn't just say the right words, but whose actions proved his love every day. She had chosen Noah. But as they left the hospital together, hand in hand, Danielle knew that David wouldn't give up easily. He had lost her once through his own neglect. Now that someone else saw her value, he would fight to win her back. And that fight was just beginning. 3 weeks had passed since the night at the hospital. Noah's mother was recovering well at home, and Danielle had met her twice. First, at the hospital, and later at the elegant penthouse apartment where Eleanor Strickland had lived since her husband's death 10 years earlier. She likes you, Noah told Danielle as they left after their second visit. And that's not something I say lightly. My mother has opinions about everyone, and she's not shy about expressing them. I like her too, Danielle replied honestly. She's straightforward, no pretense. Like mother, like son, Noah said with a smile. Their relationship had deepened since Danielle's choice that night in the hospital waiting room. Noah had gradually introduced her to his world. Dinner with his closest friends, a charity gala where she'd met his business associates, a weekend at his beach house in the Hamptons. It was overwhelming at times. The wealth, the privilege, the constant attention that surrounded Noah wherever he went. Photographers sometimes followed them, hoping to catch a glimpse of the billionaire CEO with his new girlfriend. Business associates studied her with curious eyes, clearly wondering what had attracted Noah to a simple accountant, as one society columnist had described her. But through it all, Noah remained the same man who had asked to share her table. That rainy night, kind, attentive, genuinely interested in her thoughts and feelings. With him, Danielle felt seen and valued in a way she never had before. David, however, hadn't given up. He called regularly, sent flowers to her office, accidentally ran into her at places she frequented. Each time he was charming, persistent, reminding her of their history together. 7 years, Danny, he would say. That's not something you just throw away. But Danielle had made her choice, and despite David's persistence, she never wavered. Noah was her future. David was her past, until the day everything changed. Miss Pierce, there's someone here to see you, Jenny announced, poking her head into Danielle's office. Danielle looked up from the tax forms she was reviewing. I don't have any appointments this afternoon. It's not a client, Jenny said, her expression uncomfortable. It's your ex-husband, and he says it's urgent. Danielle sighed. David's persistence was becoming problematic. Tell him I'm busy. If it's really urgent, he can call me later. Jenny nodded and disappeared. A moment later, Danielle heard raised voices in the reception area. Then her door burst open and David strode in, his face flushed with anger. David, what are you doing? Danielle demanded, standing. Have you seen this? He asked, tossing a tabloid magazine onto her desk. Danielle glanced down at the glossy cover. There was a photo of her and Noah at the charity gala last week, her in the midnight blue gown he had helped her select, him in a perfectly tailored tuxedo. The headline read, Strickland's New Love, Who is the Mystery Woman? It's just a stupid gossip magazine, Danielle said dismissively. Who cares? Read it, David insisted. With a sigh, Danielle opened the magazine to the indicated page. There was a larger version of the cover photo, along with several other shots of her and Noah, walking hand in hand on the beach, having lunch at an outdoor cafe, leaving his office building together. The article described her as Noah Strickland's latest conquest and speculated about whether she was after his fortune. It mentioned her humble beginnings and questioned what a billionaire playboy could possibly see in a small-time accountant. Worst of all, it included quotes from an anonymous source close to Danielle, who described her as always ambitious and determined to move up in the world after her divorce. "This is garbage," Danielle said, tossing the magazine aside. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because they quoted me," David said, his voice tight. "I never said those things, Danielle. Someone pretended to be me." Danielle studied his face, looking for signs of deception. David had always been a good liar, but his indignation seemed genuine. "If you didn't say it, who did?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out," David replied. "Someone wants to hurt you, Danielle. Or maybe they want to hurt Strickland by going after you." The thought was disturbing. Danielle had known that dating Noah would bring some public attention, but she hadn't expected this kind of malicious gossip. "Thank you for telling me," she said stiffly. "I'll talk to Noah about it." "Is this what you want?" David asked, gesturing to the magazine. "To have your life picked apart by strangers? To be judged and labeled because of who you're dating?" "That's not Noah's fault," Danielle protested. "Maybe not," David conceded. "But it's the reality of his world. Our life wasn't perfect, Danielle, but at least it was private. At least you could go to the grocery store without being photographed, or have dinner without people whispering about you." His words struck a nerve. Danielle had felt the stares, had noticed the whispers when she and Noah were out together. It was uncomfortable, but she had told herself it was a small price to pay for being with someone she loved. "I appreciate your concern," she said carefully. "But my relationship with Noah is not open for discussion. Not with you, and certainly not with some tabloid reporter." David looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Fair enough. But Danielle, be careful. Rich men like Strickland live in a different world, a world with different rules." After he left, Danielle sat at her desk, the magazine still open to the article about her and Noah. The words stung: conquest, after his fortune, small-time accountant. Was that how people saw her? As a gold digger who had somehow trapped one of the country's most eligible bachelors, and more importantly, was that how Noah's friends and family saw her? "I'm going to sue them," Noah said firmly after reading the article. They were in his office at Strickland Hospitality Group headquarters, a sleek glass and steel building downtown. "This is libel, plain and simple." "No," Danielle said, touching his arm. "That would just draw more attention to it. I don't want to become that woman who sued a tabloid." Noah's expression softened as he looked at her. "I'm sorry you have to deal with this. It's the ugly side of my public profile." "It's not your fault," Danielle assured him. "But it is my world," Noah pointed out. "And now it's affecting you." Danielle thought about David's words earlier. A world with different rules. "What bothers me most," she admitted, "is the idea that someone pretended to be David to give them that quote. Who would do that?" Noah's expression turned grim. "I have some ideas. My success has created enemies, Danielle. People who'd like to see me fail personally and professionally. You think someone is using me to get to you?" The thought was both disturbing and infuriating. "It's possible," Noah said, "or it could just be a sleazy reporter making up quotes for a better story. Either way, I'm going to find out." He pulled her into his arms, holding her close. "I'm so sorry, Danielle. The last thing I wanted was for my life to complicate yours." Danielle rested her head against his chest, drawing comfort from his solid presence. "It's not all complications," she said softly. "There are some definite benefits to dating a billionaire." Noah chuckled. "Oh really, like what?" "Well, the private jet is nice," she teased, "and the beach house isn't bad either." "Is that all I am to you?" "A jet and a beach house?" Noah asked, pretending to be wounded. Danielle looked up at him suddenly. "Serious? You know what you are to me. You're the man who saw me when I was invisible to everyone else, even myself." Noah's eyes softened. "And you're the woman who made me remember what matters most in life. Not the hotels or the restaurants or the money. Just having someone to share it all with, someone real. Their kiss was sweet and gentle, a reaffirmation of the connection they had found that rainy night months ago. "I love you," Danielle whispered against his lips. "I love you too," Noah replied. "And we'll get through this together. I promise. For you either." Tabloid story was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, more articles appeared, some speculating about Danielle's past, others questioning Noah's judgment in dating a nobody. Paparazzi began following Danielle, hoping to catch unflattering photos or provocative moments. Through it all, Noah remained her rock, protective, supportive, outraged on her behalf. He hired security for her when the photographers became too intrusive. He issued a statement through his PR team describing Danielle as a talented professional and an extraordinary woman whom he was privileged to know. But the attention took its toll. Clients at Danielle's accounting firm began asking uncomfortable questions. Friends who had known her for years suddenly wanted inside information about Noah. Even Lisa, her best friend, couldn't resist asking what it was like to date one of the richest men in the country. "It's like dating anyone else," Danielle insisted, "except with better food and more photographers." "Come on," Lisa pressed. "There must be perks, private jets, fancy hotels, expensive gifts." "Is that what you think I care about?" Danielle asked, hurt by her friend's implication. Lisa had the grace to look embarrassed. "Of course not, I'm just curious. This is all so different from your life with David." "That's true," Danielle conceded, "but the differences that matter aren't about money. They're about respect, about being valued for who I am." The conversation left Danielle unsettled. If even Lisa, who knew her better than almost anyone, could think she was with Noah for his money, what must strangers think? The invitation arrived on heavy cream stationery embossed with the Strickland Hospitality Group logo, a charity ball, honoring Eleanor Strickland for her decades of philanthropic work. As Noah's mother recovered from her heart attack, the company had decided to celebrate her contributions to various causes, particularly children's hospitals. "It's going to be a big event," Noah warned, as they discussed it over dinner at his penthouse apartment. "Press, celebrities, business leaders. My mother insisted on inviting everyone who's anyone." "Should I be nervous?" Danielle asked. "No," Noah said firmly. "You'll be wonderful as always, and my mother specifically asked that you sit at our table. She likes you, remember." The night of the ball, Noah sent a car to pick Danielle up. The back seat was a large white box tied with a silver ribbon. "Mr. Strickland asked me to give you this," the driver said. Inside the box was the most beautiful dress Danielle had ever seen, a floor-length gown in deep emerald green that seemed to shimmer in the light. A note in Noah's handwriting read, "Something to match your eyes. No pressure to wear it if you've already chosen something else. All my love, N." The dress fit perfectly, as if it had been made for her. Danielle paired it with simple silver jewelry and the crystal hair clip her grandmother had given her years ago, something old amidst all the new. When the car pulled up to the Grand Hotel where the ball was being held, photographers lined the red carpet. Danielle took a deep breath, reminding herself that she belonged here, that Noah wanted her by his side. Noah was waiting just inside the entrance, handsome in his tuxedo, his face lit up when he saw her. "You're breathtaking," he said, taking her hands. "The dress is perfect on you." "Thank you for it," Danielle replied. "It's the most beautiful thing I've ever worn." "No," Noah corrected her gently. "You're the most beautiful thing the dress has ever been worn by." The ballroom was spectacular. Crystal chandeliers, floral arrangements taller than Danielle, tables set with fine china and silver. Eleanor Strickland held court at the main table, elegant despite her recent health scare, her silver hair swept into a classic updo. "Danielle, my dear," she said warmly when Noah brought her over. "That color is magnificent on you. My son has good taste." "Thank you, Mrs. Strickland," Danielle replied. "I'm honored to be here." "Eleanor, please," Noah's mother corrected. "And the honor is ours. Noah tells me you've been a wonderful support during my little health adventure." "I didn't do anything," Danielle protested. "You were there," Eleanor said simply. "Sometimes that's everything." As the evening progressed, Danielle was introduced to dozens of people, business associates, family, friends, celebrities who supported Eleanor's causes. Most were polite if a bit reserved. A few were openly curious about the woman who had captured Noah Strickland's heart. "So you're an accountant?" one woman asked, her tone suggesting it was barely a step above street sweeper. "I own an accounting firm," Danielle corrected politely. "We specialize in small businesses and startups." "How enterprising," the woman replied with a thin smile. Later, in the powder room, Danielle overheard two women talking as they refreshed their makeup. "She's pretty enough, I suppose," one said, "but hardly his usual type." "I give it 6 months," the other replied. "Once the novelty wears off, he'll go back to dating models and socialites. Men like Noah Strickland don't marry accountants from nowhere." Danielle stepped out of the stall, making her presence known. The women had the grace to look embarrassed as she washed her hands beside them. "For the record," Danielle said calmly, "I'm from Chicago, not nowhere. And Noah can date whoever he wants. Right now, that happens to be me." She left them staring after her, heads bent together in what was undoubtedly more gossip. But Danielle held her head high as she returned to the ballroom. She wouldn't let anyone make her feel less than, not anymore. Noah found her near the dance floor. "Everything okay? You look like you're about to declare war." "Just a little bathroom gossip," Danielle said with a shrug. "Nothing I can't handle." Noah's expression darkened. "What did they say?" "Nothing important," Danielle assured him. "Just predictions about our relationship. Apparently, I'm not your usual type." "They're right about that," Noah said, pulling her close. "You're better." The sincerity in his eyes melted her irritation. This was what mattered. The way he looked at her, the way he made her feel, not what strangers thought or said. "Dance with me," Noah asked, holding out his hand. As they moved together on the dance floor, Danielle felt the stares, heard the whispers. But for the first time, they didn't bother her. Let them talk, let them wonder. She knew the truth, that what she and Noah had found was real, was valuable, was worth fighting for. "I love you," she whispered against his shoulder. "I love you too," he replied, holding her closer. "More than I ever thought possible." As the music changed to a slower song, Noah guided her to a quieter corner of the ballroom. "I need to ask you something," he said, suddenly serious. "What is it?" Danielle asked, concerned by his change in tone. "These past months with you have been the happiest of my life," Noah began. "Before I met you, I had success, wealth, recognition, but something was missing, something essential." Danielle felt her heart beat faster as he continued. "That night at the restaurant, when you ordered, for two out of habit, I saw something in you. A gentle grief, but also a quiet strength. The way you sat tall despite your sadness. The way you still set your napkin in your lap with care." She smiled at his memory of details she had forgotten herself. "I knew then that you were special," Noah continued. "What I didn't know was how completely you would change my life, how you would remind me what really matters." To Danielle's shock, Noah reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Then right there in the corner of the ballroom, with music playing and hundreds of people nearby, he dropped to one knee. "Danielle Pierce," he said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "Would you do me the extraordinary honor of becoming my wife?" He opened the box to reveal a ring, not the massive diamond she might have expected, but a simple emerald surrounded by small diamonds, elegant and understated. Danielle felt tears fill her eyes. "Noah!" "Before you answer," he said quickly, "I want you to know that I understand the challenges, the public scrutiny, the differences in our backgrounds, the complications of my position. If you need time to think about it, or if you want to wait, I understand. I just needed you to know that for me, you're it. You're the one I want to share my table with for all the meals to come." His words, so similar to what he had said that first night, touched Danielle deeply. Here was a man who remembered, who paid attention, who saw her. "Yes," she said simply. "Yes, Noah Strickland, I will marry you." The joy that spread across his face was like the sun breaking through clouds. He slipped the ring onto her finger, a perfect fit, like everything about them, and stood to pull her into his arms. Their kiss was gentle at first, then deeper, a promise of the life they would build together. When they finally pulled apart, Danielle saw that a small crowd had gathered, including Eleanor Strickland, who was beaming with approval. "Well," Noah's mother said, approaching them with a wide smile, "it seems we have 2 reasons to celebrate tonight." As congratulations poured in from those nearby, Danielle felt a strange mix of emotions. Joy, yes, but also a hint of anxiety. Was she ready for this? To be Mrs. Noah Strickland? To step fully into his world, with all its complications and scrutiny? Then she looked at Noah, at the love shining in his eyes, at the way he kept her close to his side, proudly introducing her as his fiancée, and knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The news of their engagement spread quickly. By the next morning, it was in all the papers, on entertainment websites, even mentioned on morning television shows. The story of how they met, her accidental order for 2, his request to join her, had become a romantic legend, embellished with each telling. Danielle's phone rang constantly. Friends, clients, even old classmates she hadn't spoken to in years, all wanting to congratulate her, and not so subtly, get details about the wealthy man she was going to marry. Noah had warned her it would be like this. The attention will die down eventually, he promised. But for now, everyone will be curious about the woman who captured the heart of the billionaire playboy. "Is that what they call you?" Danielle asked, amused. "Among other things," Noah replied with a grimace, most of them not nearly as flattering. True. To his word, Noah had his security team run interference, keeping the more aggressive reporters and photographers at bay. He also hired a personal assistant for Danielle, a no-nonsense woman named Margaret, who screened calls and managed the sudden influx of invitations and requests. "Ms. Pierce cannot comment on wedding plans at this time," became Margaret's standard response to inquiries. "No, she is not available for interviews." Through it all, Danielle tried to maintain her normal routine, working at her accounting firm, meeting with clients, having lunch with Lisa. But normality was elusive when paparazzi waited outside her office and strangers approached her in Simsindao restaurants asking to see her ring. One morning, about 2 weeks after the engagement, Danielle arrived at her office to find David waiting in the reception area. "We need to talk," he said, his expression serious. Danielle sighed. She hadn't heard from him since he'd shown her the tabloid article, and she had hoped he had finally accepted her decision. "David, if this is about the engagement, It's not," he interrupted. "At least not directly. It's about something I found, something concerning." Intrigued despite herself, Danielle led him into her office. "What is it?" David pulled out a folder and placed it on her desk. "I've been trying to figure out who gave that fake quote to the tabloid. I have a friend who works in publishing, and..." He did some digging. Danielle opened the folder to find printouts of emails, phone records, and what appeared to be financial transactions. "What am I looking at?" she asked. "Evidence that someone is actively trying to sabotage your relationship with Strickland," David replied. "Someone with resources and connections, someone who's been feeding stories to the press, encouraging them to portray you in the worst possible light." "But who would do that?" Danielle asked, confused. "And why?" David hesitated, then pointed to a name that appeared several times in the documents. "Victoria Chambers. Does that name mean anything to you?" Danielle shook her head. "No. Should it?" "According to my research, she dated Strickland for about a year, ending just a few months before he met you. She's the daughter of one of his business partners. Word is, she expected a proposal that never came." Danielle felt a chill. "You think she's behind? The tabloid stories, the fake quotes?" "The evidence suggests it," David said grimly. "And if I'm right, she's not going to stop just because you're engaged. In fact, that might make her more determined." Danielle studied the documents more carefully. The case David had built was convincing. Payments to tabloid reporters, emails, discussing strategies to make Danielle look like a gold digger, even surveillance reports detailing her daily routine. "This is disturbing," she admitted. "But why are you showing me this? Why do you care?" David's expression softened. "Because despite everything, I still care about you, Danielle. I don't want to see you hurt." The sincerity in his voice was unexpected. For months, David had been trying to win her back, using every tactic from charm to guilt. This was different. This felt genuine. "Thank you," Danielle said quietly. "I appreciate this, David. Really?" He nodded, standing to leave. "I should go. I just wanted you to have this information. What you do with it is up to you." At the door, he turned back. "For what it's worth, I hope I'm wrong. I hope you get your happily ever after, Danielle. You deserve it." The words stayed with Danielle long after David left. There had been no attempt at reconciliation, no reminder of their history together, no subtle dig at Noah. Just genuine concern from someone who had once loved her, and perhaps in his own way, still did. That evening, Danielle showed the folder to Noah at his penthouse apartment. He studied the documents carefully, his expression growing darker with each page. "Victoria," he said finally, setting the folder aside. "I should have guessed." "You dated her?" Danielle asked. Noah nodded. "About a year ago. It ended badly." "How badly?" "She expected more than I was willing to give," Noah explained. "She saw our relationship as a merger of two powerful families, a strategic alliance. I saw it as two people who enjoyed each other's company but weren't in love." "And now she's trying to break us up," Danielle said, the reality of it settling. "By making me look like I'm only interested in your money." "Which is ironic," Noah pointed out, considering that was exactly why she was interested in me. "My name, my connections, my wealth. What do we do?" Danielle asked. "Confront her?" Noah shook his head. "That would only give her more ammunition. No, we handle this my way." "Which is?" "We live our lives," Noah said simply. "We don't let her or anyone else dictate our happiness. And behind the scenes, we let my legal team deal with her. What she's doing isn't just unethical, some of it is illegal. The surveillance, for instance." Danielle felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Noah wasn't dismissing her concerns, but he wasn't letting them overwhelm him either. He had a plan, a way forward. "There's something else," she said hesitantly. "The person who brought me this information, it was David." Noah's expression tightened slightly. "Your ex-husband?" "Yes. And I think he was genuinely trying to help. He didn't ask for anything in return, didn't try to use it as a way to get back together. He just wanted me to be aware of what was happening." Noah was quiet for a moment. "That was decent of him." "It was," Danielle agreed. "And it made me realize something. For months, I've been comparing you two. How different. You are how differently you treat me. But maybe that's not fair to either of you. Maybe David is changing, growing just like I am. So what are you saying?" Noah asked carefully. "That you have doubts about us?" "No," Danielle said firmly, taking his hand. "Not about us. Never about us. What I'm saying is that people are complicated. David hurt me, yes, but he's not a villain. And you're wonderful, but you're not perfect either." Noah smiled slightly. "That's a relief." "Being perfect sounds exhausting." Danielle laughed, the tension broken. "The point is, I'm choosing you, Noah Strickland. Not because David is bad or you're perfect, but because with you, I feel like the best version of myself. You see me? You support me. You love me for who I am, not who you want me to be." "That goes both ways," Noah said softly. "You're the first person in a long time who's seen me. Not the CEO, not the billionaire, just me." He pulled her into his arms, holding her close. "We're going to be okay, Danielle. Victoria, the tabloids, the gossip, none of it matters. What matters is us, what we're building together." Danielle rested her head against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "And what are we building?" "A life," Noah replied simply. "A real life, with all its complications and challenges and joys. Not his life or her life, but our life, together." The months that followed were a whirlwind of activity, wedding plans, house hunting, integrating their lives in ways both practical and emotional. Noah had offered to buy Danielle any house she wanted, but she insisted on using her own money to contribute. "It's not about the amount," she explained when he protested that her contribution would be a fraction of his. "It's about partnership, about building something together." Noah understood. They found a beautiful home that they both loved. Not as grand as what Noah could have afforded alone, but perfect for them. Danielle kept her accounting firm, refusing Noah's offer to set her up with larger offices or more staff. "I built This myself, she told him. I need to keep growing it myself. Victoria's campaign against Danielle eventually backfired. Noah's legal team gathered enough evidence to confront her father, who was horrified by his daughter's actions. Victoria was sent to Europe for an extended vacation, and the tabloid stories mysteriously dried up. David remained a peripheral figure in Danielle's life, not a friend exactly, but not an enemy either. He attended their wedding with sincere, good wishes, bringing a new girlfriend who seemed to genuinely make him happy. I think he's finally growing up, Danielle commented to Lisa at the reception. It just took losing me to make him realize what matters. Some lessons are learned the hard way, Lisa agreed. But look at him, he's actually smiling at Noah. A real smile, not that fake one he uses for clients. It was true. David and Noah were chatting amicably across the room, no sign of the tension that had existed between them in the early days of Danielle and Noah's relationship. Speaking of Noah, Lisa continued, "Your husband is heading this way and he looks like a man on a mission." Danielle turned to see Noah approaching, handsome in his wedding tuxedo, his eyes fixed on her with an intensity that still made her heart race. "Mrs. Strickland," he said, taking her hand. "May I have this dance?" "You may," Danielle replied, allowing him to lead her onto the dance floor. As they moved together to the music, surrounded by friends and family, Noah leaned down to whisper in her ear. "Happy?" "Completely," Danielle assured him. "You?" "More than I ever thought possible," Noah replied. "And it all started because you ordered for two." Danielle laughed softly. "Best mistake I ever made." 1 year later, Danielle sat at a table in the same restaurant where it had all begun, waiting for Noah to join her for their anniversary dinner. The place hadn't changed. Same warm lighting, same cozy atmosphere. But she had. The woman who had once been embarrassed to eat alone was now confident, successful, happy. Her accounting firm had doubled in size, taking on larger clients, while still maintaining the personal touch that had always been her specialty. She was painting regularly, her work now displayed in a small gallery that Noah had encouraged her to approach. And most importantly, she was deeply, completely in love with the man who had shared her table that rainy night a year ago. Noah arrived, slightly breathless from rushing. "Sorry I'm late, board meeting ran long." "It's fine," Danielle assured him. "I was enjoying the memories." Noah smiled as he sat across from her. "Hard to believe it's been a year since that night." "The night I ordered for two out of habit," Danielle said with a smile. "And you asked if you could join me." "Best question I ever asked," Noah replied, reaching across the table to take her hand. "Except maybe, will you marry me?" The waitress approached, her smile warm. "Ready to order?" Danielle looked at Noah, love filling her heart. "Yes," she said, never taking her eyes off her husband. "I'll have the grilled salmon with asparagus." She paused, then added deliberately, "And he'll have the steak with roasted potatoes." The waitress nodded and left. Noah's eyes crinkled at the corners as he smiled. "So you ordered for two, on purpose this time?" "I did," Danielle confirmed, "because this time I know exactly who I'm ordering for, the man I want to share all my meals with for the rest of my life." Noah squeezed her hand, his eyes shining with emotion. "Then let me stay," he said softly, echoing the words he had spoken on their first real date. "For the rest of the meals to come." As they sat together in the warm glow of the restaurant, Danielle thought about the journey that had brought them here. The accidental dinner, the slow building of trust, the challenges they had overcome together. It hadn't always been easy, merging their very different worlds, but it had been worth every moment, because in Noah she had found something rare and precious, someone who saw her, truly saw her, for exactly who she was. Not the woman her ex-husband had wanted her to be, not the gold digger the tabloids had painted her as, but the real Danielle Pierce Strickland, strong, creative, loving, and finally, completely herself. And in the end, that was what mattered. Most, not the fancy restaurants or the beautiful home, or even the emerald ring that sparkled on her finger, but the simple, profound joy of being truly seen and loved by the person sitting across the table. One table, two hearts, forever. The end.